Welcome into this edition of the Oxford Exxon podcast on this Tuesday morning, a little after 7:30, early start with you here today. Hope you had a wonderful and safe Memorial Day. We'll talk a lot of baseball today. We'll get into many different things here on the show today, including conspiracy theories, pitching matchups, bracket challenges, and more as we lead into the Oxford Regional. Starting Friday, Ole Miss will play Southeast Missouri. Florida State and Southern Miss will play on ESPNU at 2 o'clock. So we'll get into that, a little site news and more. Coming up on the Oxford Exxon podcast, the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West. You can download the Speed Pass Plus app. You can earn some points when you use it. When you earn points, you save money. That's a good thing there with the Oxford Exxon and all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. If you're here local, you get the lunch special every single weekday, $5.69, 2 sides bread. 32-ounce drink there at the Oxford Exxon, and we're coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900 is that number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is completely up to you. You can shop that quote around, or you can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You will love the product. You'll love the service. You'll love everything about Clark Ford, 662-257-1900. Guest, join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford, I suspect will be hopping this week as summer school is beginning in Oxford. Be a good place for you if you're coming up for the regional, before games, after games, during games. Hang out there at Rafters. Enjoy burgers, po' boys, appetizers. They're great drinks, full bar, the whole deal there at Rafters Music and Food. And then Rafters on the Water opens on Wednesday, 5 o'clock, Thursday and Friday at 5 o'clock as well. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it'll be open at 11. Enjoy frozen margaritas, frozen daiquiris, and great waterfront views there at Sardis on the Water at Sardis. Rafters on the Water at Sardis.
Close enough.
You knew what I meant.
Got the gist at this point. We announced this on Saturday, a little site news. Brian Rippey joining the MPW Digital Network, rebelgrove.com. Brian been part of the Ole Miss beat several times over the years, as well as D1 baseball. He worked for MLB.com, covering the Cincinnati Reds with a summer internship one summer, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and more. So his podcast, Rippey Writes, up on the network as of yesterday. Posted the first one. He did a deep dive into the selection show Monday, so a lot more baseball if you want something past us today. Ron will write some, he'll be on the message board, just do a lot of different things to give us another voice. So excited about that. Just let everybody know as we move forward. I think his Twitter thing is BS Rippey, but I'll check that in a second to confirm that if you'd like to follow along, if you don't already, but you probably do. But nonetheless, yes, BS Rippey, Rippee. His first podcast with me, we recorded. It's on the Oxford Exxon feed. We talked to Ole Miss women's golf assistant coach Zach Bird yesterday. Pretty interesting stuff. Even if you didn't necessarily follow Ole Miss women's national championship last week, Zach played professional golf all over the world for about 10 years. We talked about trying to make that financially, the difference between a PGA Tour player and what he was able to do. And he played college golf at Coastal Carolina with Dustin Johnson, who's currently the number one player in the world. So a lot of those topics and more there with Zach and Brian and myself on the podcast, the Oxford Exxon podcast. And again, you can find wherever you're listening to this right now. So bracket revealed yesterday. 64 teams, all competing to move to Super Regionals next week, and then the College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska the week after that. I guess we'll start local and then move out, I guess. Ole Miss, again, Southeast Missouri. Florida State, Southern Miss, one of the more difficult regions for sure. From a balance standpoint, that it could have been. It created the one storyline that we were most interested in going into this week, which is who is Ole Miss going to pitch in Game 1 of this regional. In most years, Ole Miss has been very steady on Saturday. Frankly, Saturday is the day that Mike Bianco has really made a living off of over his 20 years. They have really good number twos. They win a ton of swing games in the middle of weekends, and that's been a struggle. Especially after Gunnar Hoagland's injury. It's been Derek Diamond in whatever game. That has not been Doug Nikhazy pitching in those first two for most of the year. And what does Mike do this week? You got a lot of A lot of good performances in Hoover. How much of that leads into consistency? How much of that was maybe the park in Hoover? How much of that's real? I don't know. That's something that we'll find out as this week moves on. But there were 2 or 3 teams in the country from a 4-seed standpoint that were going to get into the field that you knew had a number one that at least made you think about it. Because if Southern University gets sent here, you're holding Doug. You're probably going to throw Derek in game one. There were more palatable options. SEMO does have an MLB draft prospect as a Friday night guy. Dylan Dodd. I have a scouting report up on him on the site later today. I've talked to several people scout-wise about Dodd over the course of the last couple of days. Think Doug Nikhazy light. He's a competitor. He's left-handed. He's a senior sign. He's been around forever. He's a JUCO transfer. They sort of just found more velocity. He was like 85, 86 in JUCO. Now he's like 90 to 92. He'll bump some 94s, 95s. Has a really, really good changeup, but Ole Miss is such a left-handed lineup, that's kind of negated. You're not going to see that a ton. He's got a slider that he doesn't throw in the strike zone a ton. It's kind of a big sweeping, swing and miss sort of thing, so Ole Miss has got to lay off that. But just kind of competes. I mean, I was talking to one scout yesterday who said he's Doug Nikhazy except half a tick off and everything. It's kind of what he is.
Which is significant.
Well, yeah, half a tick's half a tick. I mean,
if you took half a tick off Doug, he wouldn't dominate the SEC.
Yeah. So that's what Ole Miss is facing on Friday. I don't think SEMO will hold their starter, so I'd assume Dodd's going to throw against the Rebels. And then you run into 2 teams that, from a pitching standpoint, pretty damn deep in Southern Miss and Florida State as the weekend goes on. Ole Miss's path still completely and utterly bottom line is to get to 2-0 and then see what happens.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's I got lots of thoughts on it.
Sure.
One, it's a tough draw. 2, it's the NCAA tournament. You're going to get tough draws. 3, there's a tendency, I think, among Ole Miss fandom to do this, oh, God, here we go again, we're getting screwed. I think you wrote they've hosted 9 of these regionals and gotten out of 6.
I think that's right, yeah.
They just played in the most difficult regional they will play in, unless they get to Omaha.
Right. And still maybe then. They just played Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas in a regional. A Georgia team that was desperate for a win. That fell 1 win shy of the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament.
They knew it. They knew they were desperate, and they played desperate. And Ole Miss handled them. They faced Kumar Rocker, who last I checked is pretty good.
Well, they faced lighter, but yeah.
Yeah, but they faced Rocker first, right?
Rocker,
did they not face Rocker?
No, Rocker threw against
Arkansas.
Somebody. Yeah, remember they threw the kid that we worried hurt his arm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that kid.
Yeah.
And all he did was throw gas.
Say that still wasn't bad stuff out there on the mound for the Doors.
Then they faced Jack Leiter.
They did, yes.
And won.
Yeah.
And then they faced Arkansas and lost a 3-2 game. All of that in Hoover on a neutral field. Now you're going to play at Swayze, which, thank God, I'm told is on its way to being COVID certified.
Feel good about the process.
It's a long process. I don't want to jinx it because there are variants out there, but it sounds like things are positive. You're going to play in front of a jacked house, your people. None of those teams that I just mentioned are as good as Vanderbilt or Arkansas. And there's no Jack Leiter over there. No. Throwing 98 on the corner in the 4th or 5th inning like he threw to, I think it was Leatherwood or something, where it was like, hey, good luck.
Yeah.
And Leatherwood just kind of, whoever it was for Ole Miss, I remember the at-bat. I can't remember who it was, just kind of looked at it like, well, what,
Sure.
I'll tell my kids about this at-bat one day. Just go win. And then the other side of it, we'll get to it in a minute, but the other side of the Ole Miss got screwed argument, and you can argue that they did, but if they did, they did a half-assed job of screwing them because they're matched up with the Arizona Regional in Tucson, and Arizona got screwed.
Yeah, Arizona, a quick aside here, has a brutal regional. They play open with Grand Canyon, who does have a legitimate ace. I think it's already pitched well against Oregon State and Oklahoma State this year. And then on the other side, Oklahoma State is in the regional, and UC Santa Barbara is one of the better threes. And it's a West Coast team, so RPIs are all fluky and stuff. But Santa Barbara can play. It's going to be kind of a different kind of baseball.
Yeah.
Now, Arizona's used to it, but just in general,
sure,
a different kind of baseball out there. Arizona, Grand Canyon, Oklahoma State, and UC Santa Barbara is absolutely one of the top 3 toughest regionals. Tennessee takes the cake, but beyond that, I think Arizona's probably number 2 or number 3.
So, the goals, If you were expecting an easy path, I mean, if that's what the goal was, hey, we got to find the easiest path. Okay, well, maybe you need to put your AD on the committee. That would probably help.
That would help.
But if after that, you're going to have to win games. I mean, you're going to have to win games.
Yeah, at the end of the day, potentially, if it goes chalk, your path to get to the super regional round is to beat Southeast Missouri and Southern Miss. At the beginning of the year, you take that.
Of course.
Okay, sure. In Oxford.
It's not like they're sending Vanderbilt and Arkansas in for the weekend.
Yeah.
Where, hey, Kumar's going to go on Saturday. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you can't look, if nothing against Dylan Dodd, I'm sure he's a wonderful young man. I'm sure
salt of the earth.
I'm sure his parents love him dearly. But if the presence of Dylan Dodd is what prevents you from getting to Omaha, Chase, you weren't going anyway. You weren't getting there anyway. At some point, you have to stop with the excuse thing and just go play. I mean, hell, Arkansas's got, what are they, 25-8 or something in the league, something ridiculous?
It's good, whatever it is.
And they got to play. I mean, Nebraska's decent.
They won the Big Ten.
I mean, you got to go play games. I mean, you at some point, you got to go win games. And here we are. It's June. We've done this for 50 years now. And it's always, hey, just get to June, put the tournament in Oxford, and let's see what happens. Okay, well, the tournament's in Oxford. Now, what I would do is I would pitch Diamond on Friday.
Yeah.
If we can't beat Southeast Missouri with my 2, well, realistically, I'm in trouble. He pitched really well in Hoover. I thought he looked dominant in Hoover, frankly.
Oh, he was great.
I thought Hoover went as well for Ole Miss as it could have gone. They got in there. They did a lot of things to build confidence. Had some issues with stuff, but it'll be fine. Go win games. And then I throw Doug against the 2 for Southern Miss or Florida State. They're both, neither one of them can hold their starter for Saturday. They've got to go at each other. I figured out a way to beat SEMO on Friday. Maybe it's 4-3. Maybe it's 8-7. Maybe it's whatever. I figure out a way to win the game. I don't worry about style points. I go win the game.
No, they're going to move somebody in a bracket. That's all.
And then I get to Saturday, and I'm going to put my number 1 against their number 2 at my place. And if I can't win that game, I probably wasn't winning the whole thing anyway. The goal is to get to Omaha. 8 teams get there. 56, is that right?
Yeah.
Don't. My goal is to be one of the 8, not one of the 56. I don't really care where I fall in the rankings, whether it's from number 9 to 64. To me, that group is all the same. And frankly, I kind of like my matchup if I get Arizona.
Yeah, that's
quite frankly, I'd almost rather go there than have Oklahoma State come to Oxford because they got a couple of dudes.
And we'll see. I mean, I expect Mike to announce it today. He said he was deciding sometime last night. It hasn't been announced at this point. But everybody was kind of making fun of him on the board. He's legitimately trying to figure it out. Mike, in plenty of times, has gone, no, I'm just throwing my ace on the first day. He wasn't pandering to the media yesterday. He hadn't decided yet. Like, at one point, he held up the stats. He goes, I just printed them out. I know nothing about them. Like, I mean,
sure.
He goes, I don't know.
Well, they'll study it. And they'll talk to Carl. I'm sure they're going to talk to some scouting people that they know. I'm sure they've already talked to some of the same people you've talked to, and
what do you think?
Then more. Yeah, and then look, this isn't the 27 Yankees over there in the other dugout.
SEMO is bad. The Ohio Valley is a very offensive league. I mean, all Tennessee Tech jokes aside, they're a very offensive league. At one point this year, their league ERA was 5.69.
Those are some long games.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I mean, we're talking whatever. So point being, it's an offensive conference, and they have bad stats in an offensive conference. They suck offensively. They're not good. They have a couple dudes that are pretty decent, and after that, it falls off the table. I mean, their RPI is 82. They've got Dylan Dodd. He's 9-1 on the season. Austin Peay did kind of bang him around in his last start on May 27th. But he did throw well in Fayetteville. But nonetheless.
That was in February.
It was in February.
And it was cold.
February 25th.
It was cold.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about the game.
Yeah. So point being, if Ole Miss pitches well, no matter who is on the other side, it's going to be one of the best pitchers SEMO has seen all year, and they're not going to be used to seeing that stuff. And they haven't had a lot of success against that kind of stuff. That's the point.
And Dodd probably isn't going to go throw 140 pitches. So you're going to get into their bullpen at some point. I'm going to guess their bullpen is not stocked full of Vanderbilt arms.
No, there's not much in the pen.
So
somebody said, quote, "It's gravy if you get past Dodd."
What I would hate to do if I'm Ole Miss, and I know this sounds weird, I would hate to use Doug on Friday, end up winning a 10-2 game, and look up and go, I probably wasted him. And I know people go, well, you'd have him for Monday if you get there. You probably don't.
Well, you don't plan for that.
I mean, right. And Doug hasn't pitched on 2 days rest all season. So to go into the plan with, okay, well, we'll have Nikhazy back for Monday. All right, well, how do you have any?
Well, and here's the thing, too.
You have no idea what he'll look like on 2 days rest.
Doug's profile is so different than Drew's, too. Doug, on 2 days rest, is suddenly probably 85, 86. I mean, that's the thing, too. Doug does not have a profile to where he's going to look 100% on 2 days rest. I mean, that's going to get kind of flimsy. If that breaking ball hangs a little, if the fastball is 86 instead of 89, I mean, you got some issues there.
You're probably playing USM or Florida State at that point.
Where that's not even the best option if you were to have it, I guess is the point. That Drew did a little bit of a disservice because he made that look easier than that is. That is incredibly complicated for any arm as it moves forward. I mean, I know Drew was like 93 the whole game, but that was stupid. It didn't make a lot of sense.
And
Drew's been pitching in the major leagues for like 10 years.
Drew's been in the bigs for a long time now. Drew's different.
Yeah. So Doug's profile doesn't fit that very well.
Doug would, in all likelihood, be at least a tick off.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
At which point he's very average.
Yeah. Full circle, he'd be Dylan Dodd now. So
if you told me that on Monday night Doug could give you an inning, okay, maybe. Probably not.
Yeah, that might be an inning, sure, but yeah, you're not stretching him though.
I mean, I'd have to know what happened on Friday. Did he throw 60 pitches or did he throw 107?
Yeah, sure.
So the bottom line is and I know people do this in the thread. I'm looking at it. I don't know. Maybe this is my lack of emotional attachment to it. Tennessee Tech was an OVC team. Who cares? Yeah, they lost at UT Martin, but that was in a game where no one gave a damn.
Yeah.
Ole Miss knew the score going down the stretch. They were judged on SEC games. Had they beaten UT Martin, they wouldn't be a national seed right now.
Yeah. And frankly, looking back, Hoover mattered for one team, Alabama.
That's it.
It didn't matter for anybody else.
Nope.
Because it sure as hell didn't matter to About State. We'll get there in a second. But
that's
it. Alabama.
Doesn't appear. I mean, I guess maybe Georgia could have played their way in, perhaps.
They could have one more win, but you got to get to Saturday. I mean, you're talking about a bubble team getting to Saturday.
Right.
It helps more for bubble teams than it does anybody else.
I mean,
but then it didn't even kill LSU. South Carolina still hosted.
Yeah, we say it all the time. Hoover's kind of unimportant, and Hoover's kind of unimportant.
You can find examples, but it's
kind of unimportant.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, Tennessee makes it all the way to the final, and they kind of get tough draw.
Yeah.
State goes 0-2, getting run ruled each time, and they get a favorable draw. It's difficult for me to look at Hoover objectively and go, okay, well, that really matters. The environment creates competition.
Yeah, sure.
It's obvious with Arkansas, for example, that when they got to Saturday, I think Dave Van Horn, if you looked into their dugout, when Cops it's a one-run game. Ole Miss and Arkansas are going, it's 2-2 forever. Then the shortstop gets a hit, makes it 3-2. Well, normally in that scenario, it's all right, Kevin, here's the ball.
Yeah.
Well, he never even went to the dugout. I mean, he never even went to the bullpen. He stayed in the dugout.
Yeah.
That was Arkansas going, all right, look, whatever. And they threw the former Nolan, the quarterback.
Yeah.
He was really good. And then they got to Sunday, and now the kids want a title.
Yeah, sure.
And so at that point, the emotions kick in. It's a fun tournament. The fans love it. It's a great environment. Ole Miss took 8 gazillion people over there the other day. It's fun, but I'm not convinced it matters.
Yeah. Look at the rest of the bracket and more in a second. First, about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Sutherland County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. So getting local underwriting and understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
Join Coach Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels in the Vault this season. Season ticket packages start at just $199. Can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. Don't forget to go to MuddyWaterOutdoors.com. And check out their summer collection. Again, muddywateroutdoors.com to get the latest from Muddy Water Camo. Also brought to you by Lammons Fine Jewelry. Lammons at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. They've been serving the Oxford area for almost 75 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, fashion jewelry, and more. All at Lammons. It's the gold standard in fine jewelry. You can visit them at lammonsfinejewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. And we're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air. It's the name you can trust with more than 50 years of professional HVAC experience in Oxford, Tupelo, and the surrounding area. Get in touch with them. Make sure that AC is ready to go as the hot weather arrives as we turn the calendar to June. 662-801-1777. And we're brought to you by the College Corner. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, it's next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's no problem. You can go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. They also have some women's golf national championship shirts there at collegecornerstore.com. They look really cool. You'll love those. So whether you're tailgating in Oxford or home gating with friends and family, the College Corner has you covered for game day. The largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. We'll be taping a Mind on My Money a little bit later today. It's brought to you by Pinnacle. Pinnacle is based in Madison, Mississippi. Clients in more than 20 states, advisors in multiple states as well. Pinnacle provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much, much more. At Pinnacle, investing is treated like a commodity, and decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. So go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com.
So looking at the bracket as a whole, the SEC dominating from a national seed standpoint, from a host standpoint as this thing moves forward. Fayetteville, Gainesville, Knoxville, Nashville,
all
Oxford,
the Vills,
Columbia, Starkville. Yeah, I mean,
lots of Vills in the SEC.
A lot of Vills, yeah, a lot of Vills. A lot of villages in the SEC. It's like including Columbia because Old Dominion didn't bid to host. I don't know why. I know nothing about them other than their head coach was at Western Kentucky in 2009. But
they're good. I'll tell you,
they are good.
I've watched them a couple of times.
Well, no, that is a region of death there for South Carolina.
Yep.
Like everybody went, SEC team, and I was like, no, I don't know.
No.
That looks Virginia's the 3. That looks a little complicated for the Gamecocks there.
Those cats have given Louisiana Tech pure hell.
I mean, that was
a pretty entertaining tournament. I actually watched a fair amount of that tournament because the Rustin ties got me.
Yeah, sure.
Tech's good. Old Dominion's a tick better. Southern Miss is just a half tick worse.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty damn competitive baseball.
Yeah, the Monarchs are a good baseball team.
They're solid.
I mean, if they Colin Brister made a good point. If they have ECU across their front, they're a national seed. Their name kept them from a top 8 seed because
Probably so.
If you look at straight like top 25, top 50, top 100 metrics, it's there. I mean, their resume is incredibly good. So they'll go to Carolina. They'll open up with Jacksonville, the Dolphins, and then not Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks, and then they will play the Gamecocks or the Cavaliers on Saturday. So tough draw there. But I alluded to it a minute ago. Tennessee. They get rewarded in like the first 2 minutes of the show. They get the number 3 national seed, have to have been feeling all good about themselves.
Yep.
The second highest SEC national seed, Texas got the number 2. And then they get this draw. Duke, who's won like 100 games in a row in the ACC. Liberty, who's a pretty good team, there is the 3 seed. And then Wright State, who is absolutely the best all-around 4 seed. Now, they probably should have been a 3. I think straight math became a problem for the committee here. I'm not like there was some really dumb things the committee did that they should get hammered for, but I think they ran out of spots in 3 seeds to put people, which pushed Wright State back to a 4. Tennessee being the beneficiary of that, because Wright State has a resume that easily would be a 3 seed. So Tennessee's got a very difficult draw here. Now, their opponent, if they get there, I think it's a good draw. It's Oregon, Central Connecticut, Gonzaga, or LSU. But
yeah,
on their side, that's going to be a difficult road there for the number 3 national seed. They have a far more difficult region than say number 4 seed Vanderbilt with Presbyterian, Georgia Tech, and Indiana State.
But Tennessee's a good team. You're a really good team. At some point, again, You wanted a tournament at your place. They got it. They earned it. The whole thing goes through Knoxville. Just go win. Win 5 games at home, and you're going to Omaha as Cinderella with a coach that'll just be throwing money around because God knows it's coming his way.
Cinderella, Tennessee. But, yeah.
And baseball.
Yeah, I know.
At least for a year.
They've been to Omaha twice in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
01 and 05.
It still feels Cinderella-ish.
It's been a long time since Delmonico wore the orange. That's a very coach-dependent job.
Patello's good.
He's good. He's still doing that thing where he's trying to piss everybody off to kind of give his own team a little bit of edge.
Sure.
Like, I don't know. There's a little Dan Mullen to it. It's not
There's a lot
completely real,
sure.
but he's playing an act a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like he targeted Van Horn a little on purpose. It was like, no, we're going to go with them. That's the guy I'm going to go with.
The reason that got so vitriolic was because I think it shocked the Arkansas side. Like, what the hell?
I thought we were all kumbaya.
It was over a recruit. I mean, you called one of my commitments.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well, there's gentleman game.
Yeah, right.
There's an agreement. It's getting flimsier by the minute, but
I was going to say.
As money, it's crazy how this happens. As money elevates, apparently some gentleman agreements kind of go to the wayside a little
Imagine
bit.
that.
Yeah, just we can, you know.
But I mean, whatever. My point is it's the same way for everybody. You still got to go win the games. Go win the games.
Mm-hmm.
You spend the whole year. I mean, God, how many times do we talk about hosting? Starting on February, whatever it was, when Ole Miss played out in Texas against the Big 12's teams, we were like, okay, well, these wins will go a long way towards hosting. We talk about hosting like it's the holy grail. Well, you're hosting, so go win. I know that sounds flippant, but at the same time, that's what this is. It's the whole Bianco discussion at the end of the day. Because look what Mike just did. They won 21 SEC games, and they're hosting. He's one hell of a regular season coach. He's a hell of an SEC tournament coach, to the point where I think Ole Miss should put the bid in to play in Hoover. They play really well there. They're
call Hoover and go, hey, can we just do that?
They're a different team in Hoover than they are anywhere else. They really are. But, I mean, all jokes aside, it's all about what do you do in the postseason. So, okay, here we are. You got the postseason at home.
Complete random aside, I see this because of the 4 seed in Fayetteville, New Jersey Tech. I felt really bad for Stony Brook over the weekend. Did you see this?
No.
So they had weather coming in or something in the middle of the championship game. Stony Brook is winning.
Okay.
They called the game, and because New Jersey Tech finished higher in the standings, they get the automatic bid even though they were losing the game when it was called.
Did they not have a tarp or something?
There's a deadline. The NCAA, as we know from the golf regional, the NCAA has a deadline on when this game must be completed. And because that deadline was going to run out, that's it. Call it. Go home. New Jersey Tech's your champions.
That's awesome.
That'd be a fun one in the SEC, wouldn't it?
Are you going to ask the guy the guy that comes to Oxford about
COVID certification?
Hey, are we certified here?
Could really make Key stay miserable. Text him and go, I really need a Q&A with the guy, the rep, right? I guess got some COVID questions I want to iron out real quick.
Got a lot of questions.
Before we get there.
Are the coaches still having to wear masks and stuff?
No, if you've been vaccinated, you no longer have to wear a mask.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the rule. That's the SEC rule, at least, so I assume it's.
Because Mike's still wearing a mask.
Sorry.
It's okay. Everything okay?
All I really need to take. Can you talk for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take your questions here in the thread. He's got a call he's got to take. I can also tell you that the NCAA dead period, which has been going on for, I'm trying to get my math right, 15 months. 15 months. It ended last night at midnight. It is now a, quote, quiet period in the NCAA with recruiting, which means college coaches can't go out on the road recruiting, but they absolutely can entertain prospects. Ole Miss, I think, has prospects coming in as early as today. And I know they have a Friday Night Lights on Friday. People have asked what that is. To the best of my knowledge, it's just a camp setting. They do it inside the stadium, turn the lights on, turn the music on, try to make it kind of a party kind of a thing, and let good players compete against other good players. They have a big man camp, a lineman camp on Saturday. I think they have some 7-on-7s or like team tournaments coming in, I think, over the weekend. And it's pretty much going to be that way for the entire month of June. A lot of kids all over the country who have not been able to take visits are going to take visits all over the place starting now. So what you can do now is you can have coaches that are around all the time. So when a kid hits them up with a text or a DM that says, hey, I wanted to stop by Oxford, I want to see you guys, you can say, yeah, come on. So there'll be a whole lot of planned visits. There'll be a whole lot of unplanned visits. A lot of schools, I saw where Auburn is using a handful of its official visits, I think starting as early as this weekend. I have not heard of Ole Miss doing that. I don't think Ole Miss is doing that, but some people will. But it's going to be an incredibly active month of June. I put in my 10 weekend thoughts a story from CBS Sportsline. Dan Mullen, speaking of, the Florida coach, says he expects pandemonium, basically. A lot of kids just have been recruited now. This class, the kids that can sign in December, they've been recruited for a couple of years, but unless they got out last February, they haven't been able to go anywhere. So they've talked to all these coaches, they've texted all these coaches, they've DM'd all these coaches, Snapchatted, all that stuff, but they've not met them in person. They haven't been able to go to campus. If they went to campus, they couldn't see the coaches. They couldn't sit down in an office and have a conversation. And starting this morning, they can. And there will be a lot of activity. I don't know what that means from a coverage standpoint. I know people are going to ask that. It's not like we can just hang out over there and wait for kids to walk out. I mean, I guess we could.
It's a state university.
It would be frowned upon. I don't think that's what they want. Zach has a lot of chicks up already on the rebelgrove.com. We'll have coverage of stuff throughout the week. What we'll try to do is find out who visited and then try to get in touch with them to find out sort of how it went. There's the one thing that always drives me crazy in recruiting coverage is we'd show up for these junior days and stuff, and we would talk to the kids as they got to campus. I always was like, what are we doing? This is so insane. Asking kids, what do you expect to find out today? Well, they're getting ready to find out in the next 10 minutes. So by the time I write this, it's going to be completely obsolete. So we'll have coverage. Just be patient. We'll have it. It's a new. It's been a dead period for us for a while too. So we don't really. I mean, we've covered this coaching staff now for 16, 17 months.
Yeah.
We've all really never met each other.
We've not been in the same room but once.
One time. So it's going to be a little different, but we'll get it.
Yeah. I saw where the 24/7 guy for Florida State, Norvell, giving them access to the point of they were walking into their football building or whatever last night for the meetings, and the 24/7 dude is filming it like from me to you from the door. Like literally as they're walking in, I thought, yeah, no way in hell that's happening.
No.
Like, that's not even a deal there.
And I don't know that it matters
It
at all, one way or the other.
We're telling you a lot of when you walk through and you're just the guy's like shaking Norvell's hand and walking through the room. Okay, oh, he's here. All right, cool.
Yeah,
like that hug was a little more powerful than that. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I think Lane's taking a lot from Alabama.
Yeah,
as it pertains to this, and at Alabama they keep the media at a
arm's length.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Let's see. Where was I at? What was going on?
I don't remember.
It's fine. Baseball wise, it's a good.
We
point.
were talking about whether Mike wore a mask. Now they're informing me that Mike's not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I didn't. Think
I haven't paid much attention.
Yeah, because he shaved his beard and I'd seen it and I was like, oh, you whatever. And he and I we laughed about his beard being gone and somebody noticing.
He wore the beard for a long time.
Really, really long time. Yeah. It grew on me to the point of it didn't look weird anymore. But then when he shaved, I'm like, no, that's what I know you look like. Like, okay, like that.
Yeah.
That's the deal there.
I just can't do it. You
don't get past the point.
I just can't get.
My
there.
problem is mine turns fire engine red. You know how dumb I would look with a really red beard, like, and that's what happens.
Well,
I have an autumn tint to my hair, and it comes out really hard in the beard.
I can't grow it on top of my head, and so the longer it gets on my face, the more bald I look.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Like even Laura, who's always like, I wish you'd grow your hair out or whatever, like your beard out. The other day, she's like, you need to shave.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, it's not good looking.
It's a good point on the thread about that tournament in Arlington to start the year. 5 of the 6 are national seeds, and Ole Miss is the 12, or top 8 seeds, and Ole Miss is the 12. So they got exactly what they wanted out of that tournament. They got 6 of the top 12 teams in the country there.
It was good for everybody.
Yeah, to boost some RPIs. That worked out.
I remember everybody hanging on every pitch and just kind of thinking, this is all good for everyone. Everyone's going to be just fine. This is RPI fodder, and it was.
Yeah, it helped the RPI of everybody.
Sure.
Rising tides and whatnot.
Sure.
So, yeah. Every time you're invited to one of those tournaments, you go. And you play
say yes.
And you go do that.
Absolutely.
Like Ole Miss, I think, is supposed to go to Dodger Stadium at some point. Sure. Whoever you play out there is fine.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
It really doesn't matter whether you win or not.
Yeah. So,
because you're going to be judged on your 30 SEC games. Well, that is what
we have figured out beyond all else.
That has become critically obvious. Every game is not the same. The 30 SEC games are the single most important games you play. The other things just don't really matter.
Hoover is definitely lessened or non-existent.
Yep.
And I will say this, and it's political commentator on the board will agree with me here, because I will give him a little bit of a truth that he's been griping at me about for a long time. Ole Miss's non-conference strength of schedule, I do think always plays into their ability to get a top 8. I think you can host all day long without having to manipulate your schedule or not. But I think Ole Miss's sometimes lack of schedule strength in the midweek and in the non-con affects them for the top 8 moving forward. I think there's a line of demarcation there a little bit.
I guess I'd have to look and see who Mississippi State played, who Vanderbilt played, who
there's a certain
Tennessee played.
Well, you avoid if you can, you need to avoid anybody over about 225 for sure. And frankly, about 175.
And Ole Miss has a tendency to schedule a few of those.
Yeah, the Pine Bluffs and the UT Martins and whomever there. And then the other thing is, if you're going to play a lapper but weekend opponent, play 160, don't play 270. It's the same thing. You're going to win all 3 either way. But you can really help yourself from an RPI standpoint by just staying in the 100s.
You're better off going to Ruston and playing a game, even if you might lose it.
Yeah, sure.
Than you are playing Pine Bluff.
Yeah, 20-6 with 3 games in Ruston is much better than 22-4 not playing Ruston.
Yeah.
Or at Louisiana Tech. But yeah, I mean that's 100%. So just that, I think that's it. But no, that's what we're seeing. And also, they don't even really factor in who you played in the league. Like Ole Miss had a substantially harder schedule than Mississippi State, and it did not matter. It's just how did you do in the 30 games, and we don't care who you played.
Pure numbers.
Yeah, it's a number: 18-12, 19-11, 20-10, whatever it is.
Yeah, and very clearly. Now this could be because Cohen's in the room. I don't know. Regular season record mattered.
It did, yeah,
a lot.
They were the number 3 regular season team in the SEC, and that mattered. However you want to take that and run with it. So, podcast brought to you in part by Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy. 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area. They offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day each month to make it easy for you with one trip to the pharmacy or one delivery. And with Right Way Meds, they individually package your medication as you need it. That can save lives for those who are in that situation. So whether you're on the square in Holly Springs with Tyson Drugs or on South Lamar with G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222.
Also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. He's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. All you got to do is get in touch with John, tell him what you're kind of thinking about doing. Give him some parameters, give him a budget. He'll give you options. And no, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, Grenada Nissan's the way to go. It's right there off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi. Get in touch with them. Let them know that you heard about them on the podcast. Know that they've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Great lease deals as well at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. And we're brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person. There's no 10 buttons to push, no 5 minutes to wait. To learn more about OUB, go to liveoxford.bankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. I've got on the message board, I've got a thread where you can submit mailbag questions to me. That mailbag's brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. Whitney sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes, and you can get in touch with her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844.
The other thing, too, is kind of looking at the bracket a little bit. We mentioned Mississippi State going in. State got a pretty good draw, a great draw, one of the easier draws in the thing, maybe the easiest. Samford is their 4, and then VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, and Campbell is their 2-3. The only little bit of, and I don't think there's any danger at all. I think State runs through this, but the only danger at all is VCU and Campbell can both be pretty offensive, and State has had a little bit of a hard time finding quality pitching starts past McLeod and Bednar, where I don't know that State really can get into some huge slugfest if it got there at some point this weekend. Their lineup's pretty good, like 1 through 4, 1 through 5, but it's kind of rough on the back half.
They didn't finish well.
That's Missouri takes 2. They get
I know they went to Alabama and did well, but they looked bad in Hoover.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of whatever.
They looked a little tight in Hoover.
And then they got a pretty favorable draw in the Super Regional. Notre Dame, who's a good team, Central Michigan, Connecticut, and Michigan. The director or the chair of the committee really struggled explaining why Notre Dame didn't get a national seed yesterday. He had no real answer and just bungled through that to the best of his ability. He said it was because they didn't play enough non-conference games. And it was like, hold on.
Yeah.
They went like 25-10 in the ACC. I mean, like, okay, but whatever. So they end up the number 10. They've got UConn, Michigan, and Central Michigan. Actually, kind of a difficult region. And in South Bend, the ACC as a whole got very little respect and did not get much of a break because their RPIs were screwy. I don't really even know why their RPIs were screwy. They played a ton of league games. They played like 36 league games in the ACC this year. They altered their schedule because of COVID pretty early on. And
they all survived. Look at them.
Yeah,
look at them.
They made it work.
How many ACC baseball players died of COVID this year?
0.
The decision paid off.
0. But you look at what the ACC did from a standpoint of where they are. I mean, NC State gets a 2. They were sort of on a host fringe for most of the year. They really fell off and kind of got hot there at the end. But beyond that, Miami gets a 2. They've been a good team all year. They've been pretty consistent. Duke gets the 2. But then after that, it kind of gets a little weird when you're looking through it. Because Florida State was a 2 in all the projections. They end up a 3. But their RPI is 45. From a straight RPI standpoint, they are slotted where you would think they should be slotted. Virginia gets a 3 as well. North Carolina gets a 3. And they only got one host. Notre Dame was their only host in the ACC. Louisville doesn't get into the tournament at all. You've got all these 3 seeds, and then Notre Dame doesn't get the national seed. From a whole standpoint, it wasn't really like Ole Miss or wherever North Carolina is at. Like, it wasn't those teams that were Lubbock. It wasn't those teams getting screwed. It was the ACC not getting any respect whatsoever. Yeah. I mean, they're always known as the kind of the number 2 power conference behind the SEC. The Big 12 got overinflated, and the ACC got underinflated in this in this selection.
The Texas Tech AD on the committee that have any?
Well, he's out of the room when they discuss Texas.
Of course. Tech. So let's ask this question. Here's the question. We can dissect this a million ways.
Because look, I mean, real quick, the Big 12. I think they got 4 teams in, but they got 3 national seeds.
So it tells you the league wasn't good.
They beat a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah.
I mean, Baylor was the first team out, but okay, great.
Is the committee too small, or is the committee made up of the wrong kind of people?
I don't know. You can make this argument either way. I mean, let me.
Because the NCAA loves committees. I mean, we need a subcommittee to the committee.
Well, that was my funny thing. Was the guy yesterday? He put all the burden off on the regional advisory committees under him.
Yes.
The committees under the committee, the subcommittees.
Yeah.
Because essentially how this works is you've got the 11 or so members or 10. I'm finding the list.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, and so they lean on. I'm using air quotes for those without ESPN 8.
Mm-hmm.
People in each region of the country that essentially tell them who's better than who. They rank the teams in their regions.
Okay.
And then that goes to the big committee, and then the big committee moves and puts the puzzle together.
Yes, of course.
At that point.
And they're having to do this while fighting COVID, so it's very scary.
Yeah.
Give them some credit.
So the committee are these people. The guy speaking yesterday was Jeff Alter. He's from Stetson University.
Stetson.
The Hatters.
Yes, sir.
Dave Blank, Elon.
Another power.
John Cohen, Mississippi State University.
Yeah.
Jim Cole, Mercer University. Sure. Joe Colgard, Rice University. Bob Mooseberger, Bowling Green State University. Desiree Reed Francois, UNLV. Benjamin Shove with the Northeast Conference. Marion Vidra with Oregon State University. And Kirby Hokut, AD, Texas Tech. Those are your committees. The interesting thing here is, A, skin in the game, 2, Cohen and Hokut. That's from where you're putting anybody, what the draws look like. Those are the only 2. I'm trying to see if anybody else even got in. Oregon State's in the field.
Hand-raised guy would get shot down here because I would say, look, if we're going to do ADs, let's take a couple of ADs from the Pac-12. Let's take a couple of ADs from the SEC, a couple from the ACC, a couple from the Big Ten, and let's put them in a room together where everybody's got some skin in it, and let's do this the right way so that people are kind of held accountable. Because otherwise, the guy at Elon
doesn't give to.
His team's getting in if it wins its conference tournament as a 4 someplace to go get the kids an experience. Yeah. And that's fine, not belittling it, but he doesn't give a shit.
No. If his team wins, they're going to Chapel Hill or wherever. Okay, great. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, oh, whatever. Yeah, okay. You think we need to have a regional in Lubbock? All right, cool.
Sure.
I mean, he's got other stuff to do.
Yeah. The person from the Northeast Conference, when they go, okay, well, TCU or Texas Tech get this national seeding, whatever. Fine. So do you put 12 people in a room that have skin? Do you at least put 12 people in a room that are at baseball type schools? Like, what do you do? I don't know.
Right.
Like, at least the Rice guy, Rice cares, Rice tries. Sure, I have no problem with you being on the committee at all. I get that.
But I got to have some people in that room who are hand-raised guy, right? The AD at Missouri, for example. Somebody like that who's like, yeah, we're not a big baseball power, but I'm in a league full of baseball powers, and let me point out something about Alabama.
Ray Tanner was on the committee for a long time before Cohen. He was the SEC kind of rep on this. What?
Nothing.
He also was able to get out of Hoover, and it didn't matter, by the way, at one point.
Well, this year, I mean, the coach at South Carolina this year sort of let it slip in that first game when they were getting popped. That he was like, yeah, we're a little banged up.
Banged.
I watched that interview and I said they're trying to lose.
Well, it's almost become a running joke with Carolina. Like, even the media members are like leading their story with, there he goes again, one and out in Hoover. Like, they can't win over there. It's the damnedest thing.
I mean, they're literally their silver lining to being the 6th seed or whatever was, okay, well, we don't have to try. We can get out.
I only got to play one day. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Well, we get to play early on Tuesday. We might get back in time for golf.
I mean, they get a benefit by playing at home, but I just don't see them getting out.
Old Dominion's really good.
They are. They're legitimately good.
But if the goal is to host a regional and have a regional at your place, they achieved it.
So, snap reactions. Let's go through.
Okay.
And we'll alter this probably by Thursday or Friday. But just snap reactions. Fayetteville, Arkansas, New Jersey Tech, Nebraska,
Arkansas.
Northeastern.
Arkansas.
Any threat?
I mean, Nebraska's a threat.
I think they play Northeastern in the final.
Okay. Well,
sure.
Here's my thing about Arkansas. I've watched them a good bit. They just don't lose.
I know. You get done with the game and go, they're fine. They're good.
But they can beat you in so many different ways. Like at the tournament the other day, the shortstop, I think is Battles.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't done that all year, and then he does that. I mean, he comes up with big hits.
At some point, their injuries might pile up.
Could be.
But they've got a pretty favorable draw all the way through. I mean, you look over Louisiana Tech, Rider, NC State, Alabama. There's no crazy threat there.
They're going to get Slavins back, certainly for a super regional.
Yeah.
Their lineup is deep enough to survive it without him. I mean, obviously, you just saw that happen in Birmingham. They won without him.
I won't be shocked if NC State wins that regional.
In Ruston?
In Ruston, yeah.
Yeah, feels like that. I wouldn't be shocked if Alabama was competitive in it.
I think they're one pitcher short with Prelope out for the year.
I will say this: I'm super happy for the people in Ruston.
Oh, sure.
It's a great deal for them. They had the conference tournament over the weekend, and it was absolutely packed. And that was before the stadium was certified for COVID. And so now that it'll be certified and people are truly safe,
big time.
Just imagine the crowds.
Yeah. Austin, Texans, Texas, Southern, Arizona State, Fairfield getting the at-large bid as a 3 seed. Good for them. Had a hell of a year. Texas is going to win the regional.
Yeah.
They are matched up with the Gainesville, Florida regional, Florida, South Florida, Miami, and South Alabama. Florida and Miami are going to throw a lot of haymakers at each other this weekend.
They will. South Alabama's good enough to
be a fly
make
in the
a little bit of noise for a minute. I like the Gators. I actually
they're peaking.
I think the Gators are in position to do something.
I think they're going to Omaha. Actually, I think they might get the Longhorns in Austin here.
That'd be a hell of a series
here in a week. Tennessee, Wright State, Duke, and Liberty. I do think the Vols get out of this.
I do too.
They've played well all year. I have no issue with that. I think they're getting out of this.
I think Tennessee's a legitimately good team. I think because Tennessee is not typically legitimately good, we are looking at them through a different kind of
historic lens and stuff.
I think if we would just put on a 2021 lens, we'd go, oh.
Yeah. Oregon, Central Connecticut, Gonzaga, and LSU. I think the winner of Gonzaga and LSU wins this regional.
I picked LSU.
Okay. Maybe it's some Pac-12 bias. I don't know, but I just don't love Oregon. I think that's gettable for Gonzaga.
Feels like they never win, and LSU's got all this, playing for Maneri, who's leaving and all that stuff.
Well, look, if you had to draw a 3 in your Oregon out of the SEC, you'd have rather had Alabama than LSU.
Sure.
LSU's not the one you want coming over there.
No, they've got arms.
Yeah.
They're okay. They're not
fine.
Good.
They're fine.
But it's June, and they'll have LSU on their jersey, and sometimes that carries them a little bit.
Yeah. Vanderbilt, Presbyterian, Georgia Tech, and Indiana State. Okay, cool.
Nope.
All right. Sounds good.
Doors.
East Carolina, Norfolk State, Charlotte, and Maryland. Cliff got a good draw there.
Yeah.
Charlotte's a little spunky, but I think Cliff's in pretty good shape from that standpoint. Still going to have a hard time getting to Omaha for the first time in his career because Vanderbilt's over there on the other side. But in a super regional, that just becomes pretty complicated for you.
They've just got arms.
Yeah.
Just for days.
Arizona, Grand Canyon, Oklahoma State, and UC Santa Barbara. I think the Cowboys are winning.
I do too.
I think Oklahoma State is winning this regional.
I do too. I think Oklahoma State's coming to Oxford.
Yeah. I think Mike is going to make the hard decision. I think he's going to throw Derek Diamond. I think he's going to get rewarded for it, and I think they're going to win the regional.
You think Oklahoma State fans ever look at it and go, damn it, Ole Miss again?
Well, there probably does have to be a little thing when that bracket came out and went, God damn,
yeah.
There's probably something, which is funny because how Ole Miss fans freak out about themselves a little bit. There is a program over there that goes, oh, shit.
Every time we play them in something big,
we lose.
Yeah.
Well, they've matched up a good bit. Like, it's kind of a weird deal. Like,
yeah.
Ole Miss hasn't played, like, Nebraska a ton, but it's Oklahoma State.
Or Oklahoma, just Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're kind of similar programs a little bit all the way around. Like, it's sort of, Ole Miss hasn't seen Cade Cunningham, and he's gone now, so they avoided that one. But
that's true.
From that standpoint, TCU, McNeese, Oregon State, and Dallas Baptist. TCU is going to win, but I really like that Dallas Baptist team as a 3 seed a lot.
Yeah, you know more about that than I do.
Yeah, it's one of the great what ifs. Not great what ifs because it's not that great. It's just something that interests people like me who's a nerd. If SMU has a baseball team, Dallas Baptist is probably non-existent, but Dallas Baptist has been able to kind of dominate that second-tier Metroplex area there.
Because SMU just said to hell with it?
Yeah, they don't have a baseball team. So Dallas Baptist is a good team. I think Old Dominion comes out of Columbia. It wouldn't shock me, frankly, if Virginia does if they get past Carolina on day one.
Old Dominion's really good. I've actually watched, like I said, I've watched them play. They're good.
I think Carolina's the third most likely team to come out of that region.
They're just a blah team.
They're fine.
They're fine.
They play pretty well at home, so that'll help. But
yeah, they're fine.
So do most people. Mississippi State's going to win its regional unless something really weird happens. Notre Dame is going to win. Lincoln Jarrett's done a really good job in his second year there, but I just don't love them. They're fine. Notre Dame's okay, but there's nobody there.
You and Steve both are very down on the Irish.
Who is?
Steve.
Was he?
The poet, yeah.
Oh, was he? What did he say?
Just that they had no business in the same conversation with State.
No business.
Yeah.
If you got to move somebody a line to Omaha, you'd really think about Notre Dame, wouldn't you?
Because of who all would get triggered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you got one free pass and the genie comes down and goes, look, you can move any team in the country to Omaha.
If Notre Dame makes the
there have to at least be a thought to go, Notre Dame.
If Notre Dame makes the College World Series, I will go buy a Notre Dame baseball hat. Just just for the fun of it, just to celebrate.
Can they do it in Starkville too? Like, can I get greedy? Can they do it there? Can I just move them?
That'd be great.
Yeah. Texas Tech, Army, UCLA, and North Carolina. Sneaky, really good regional there in Lubbock. UCLA's got arms. North Carolina's a good program.
I picked UCLA because they can really pitch.
They were a top 5 team in the preseason. They haven't played overly well the whole year. I think they finished 4th in the Pac-12, but that's a good team. And then they play who I think is the weakest out of the top 10 seeds. They played the winner of the Stanford Regional, Stanford, North Dakota State, UC Irvine, and Nevada. I think Irvine wins that regional.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think Irvine wins. Stanford's good. They only lost one series the whole year to Cal, but finished 3rd in the league. They're fine. But I thought they were the most jobbed from a national seed standpoint. If you just look at straight resumes, I thought they had a better resume than Texas Tech and Mississippi State. But they end up the 9 seed, and it is what it is. So
convenient.
Well, they didn't get paired with State, though.
That's true.
Come on. Did some favors there. Podcast brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com. Go to the events page and see what all's going on locally this week and every week. The Oxford Community Market back today, 3 o'clock to 6:30 at the Old Armory Pavilion. And the Summer Sunset Series kicks off June 6th. That's 6 o'clock to 7:30 in the Grove. That is every week here during the summer. You have a lot more activities as well, some different tastings around town and more. So go to the events page, find out what's going on locally. Again, visit oxfordms.com/events.
We're also brought to you by Alpha Specialties, located at 1670 Highway 80 in Pearl, Mississippi. It's your trailer-specific professional. If you want to haul it, they can call it. Alpha's the premium trailer dealership in Mississippi. They've got Load Trail. They've also got Hallmark cargo trailers. They can work with third parties to have game day trailers, concession trailers built just for you. It's 601-932-9798, or check them out at alphaofms.com. Also brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. Blue Delta Jeans makes the best fitting, most comfortable jeans in the world because they are uniquely made for you and only you. Raw denim jeans, custom fit, hand-tailored in Tupelo, Mississippi. One size fits one at BlueDeltaJeans.com. Father's Day is, 2 weeks away?
It's all right. I have no idea, honestly.
I think that's right, 2.5 weeks away. So don't wait until the last minute to get a gift for the father in your life. A custom pair of Blue Delta jeans is a great way to show you care, a gift that will bring a lifetime of joy. Go to BlueDeltaJeans.com, purchase a gift card that can be redeemed in person or online, or contact the folks at Blue Delta to schedule an in-person fitting for the dad in your life. Just use the promo code Rebel Grove. That's all one word, all lowercase, online or in person for 10% off any pair of Blue Delta jeans. And we're brought to you by The Rogue. The Rogue's your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylish hand-select pieces from top designers, from work to lifestyle to nightlife. There's the perfect something for everyone at The Rogue. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, and more at The Rogue, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. And speaking of Jackson, go to Jackson, 1685 High Street in Jackson. Test drive that new or used vehicle you've been wanting with Joey Erickson at Heron Gear Chevrolet. Let him help you find the vehicle you're looking for at a price you can afford. You can choose from a full selection of new Chevys, or you can get a great deal on numerous brands of reliable pre-owned vehicles. Just give Joey a call or text, 662-571-2367. Be sure you tell him that you heard about this ad on the Oxford Exxon podcast. And with any purchased vehicle, you'll get a $50 gas card.
Little history-ish in New York last night. Jacob deGrom has the lowest ERA for qualified starters through the end of May since Chris Short in 1964 for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Wow.
He's lowered his ERA last night with 6 scoreless innings against the Diamondbacks to 0.71 this season. Chris Short had a 0.64 ERA for the Phillies in 64. He is now, in his 8 starts, 4-2 on the season, deGrom, with a 0.71 ERA.
My God.
He has 82 strikeouts and 7 walks on the year. Before deGrom, the last pitcher to have a sub-1 ERA through May was Ubaldo Jimenez of the Rockies. 2010, he had a 0.78. So there is
He's amazing.
He's
That dude will be 7th inning throwing 101.
Jacob deGrom's 27 pitches of 100-plus mile per hour on Monday night were the third most in a single game since 2008, behind Nathan Eovaldi and Jordan Hicks, 15 and 19 respectively. 2015, 2019 respectively. Hicks threw 29 pitches of 100 miles an hour or plus in a game in 2019. I was talking when I was talking to a scout yesterday about Dodd and some other stuff, kind of got on the topic in Casey, and it's because everybody's got so damn much velocity now that Doug is a lefty throwing 89, 90, 91 a little bit, and with the worry that if he starts throwing every fifth day, does that become 87, 88? What do you do with him? I mean, he's got it's a pretty violent delivery, throws across his body. There's several things there where guys just go. Then at the end of the day, he just gets outs.
Unless you can be pinpoint.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I follow a team that has a pitcher who tops out at 87, 88.
And he's gotten a lot of outs.
And he's gotten a lot of outs, making a lot of money in the bigs. But now his control is absolutely pinpoint.
Yeah. And it has to be paramount. That's it.
On days that it's not, he gets shelled.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fascinating what Nikhazy looks like. I think he's going.
Doug's very bright, though.
Oh, yeah. Can pitch multiple ways.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Someone's going to give him an opportunity.
I think he's going to be taken between the 70th and 90th pick, somewhere in there, as a guess.
Yeah.
And look, that's not low. I mean, he's still a top 100 pick. But
in worst case, right, for him is that he becomes kind of a loogie guy.
The question is it worth – I think there's a high probability Doug pitches in the major leagues. I think there's a high probability he pitches a pretty good bit in the major leagues. Is that worth it to get a fair certainty to a team to pay somebody $800,000 with the 85th pick?
Probably.
Yeah, that's the question that teams have with
If
Doug
at
McCabe.
worst you think he could come out of the bullpen as a left-hander and face a couple of left-handers and get you out of a jam. I mean, look, there's guys that have made a lot of money just being left-handed, getting out left-handed hitters.
Yeah, sure.
Or forcing another team to pinch hit.
Yeah, sure.
Got to be bright. You got to understand it and all that stuff. But I think Doug's that kind of guy. I mean, you know him. I don't know him. I've observed from a distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, no, he's bright. I mean, he kind of gets this goofy reputation, but he's a very bright dude. I mean, he's constantly trying to figure out the next angle and the next thing and the.
So a lot of these organizations now have pitch labs and things like that. So there's a decent chance that he gets into a professional organization and they see something that might help him gain a tick on velocity or a little more spin or whatever.
You don't want to change delivery because that can get funky quick.
But there are people that are going to put him in pitch labs and hook him up with stuff, and he might have already done some of that. I don't know, but
yeah, they bring in the Wake Forest pitch lab thing for a day or 2 days or whatever to kind of maximize tunneling and some different things like that throughout the year.
Georgia Rebel points out that Keegan Thompson's doing really well for the Cubs. He is. Former Auburn pitcher. He's doing really well.
There's some profile similarities there. There really are.
Very bright.
Yeah, that makes that's not a terrible comp
competitor
in some ways.
Keegan has started a couple of games, I think. More than anything, he's gotten where he comes out of the bullpen, and he's very reliable for a couple innings.
Yeah. Mark says if the Vols let Vitello get away, the Vols fans will riot. It's hilarious. They're looking for anything. Well, they can't stop some of these programs that are potentially coming after him is the problem. There's only so much that they can do if LSU really decides to go take Tennessee.
It'd be really hard for Tony Vitello to say no to LSU.
It'd be hard for him to say no to A&M. It'd be easier than LSU.
Yeah, I just don't know how you could look LSU in the eye and look at that deal and go, nope. I'd have to know something, and I do mean know it, about Arkansas. And when I say know it, not a suspicion. It'd almost have to be written somewhere.
Got to add that in.
Yeah, I'd have to know something.
LSU's still really going hard after O'Sullivan. Maybe they get it done. Florida's a better job. I get that LSU can just pay and pay and pay.
Florida's a better job. LSU's so much more invested in it.
They are. They really care.
And
O'Sullivan gets a little annoyed by the lack of care at times.
Well, and here's the other thing.
Frankly, kind of like Dan at Louisville.
Here's the thing at LSU. There's a reason they went and got Kim Mulkey and gave her a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's coming. If you got kids in the car, just turn this off for 5 seconds. It's a shitstorm coming in Baton Rouge, and everybody knows it. And that's not baseball. And LSU cares about baseball. Baseball can be a morale builder.
Sure.
In much the same way it can be here.
Yeah.
They want to make a big hire. The fact that O'Sullivan's name is still out there tells me there's real juice.
Yeah, because it hung around for a week.
Because he could make it go away. He has not made it go away.
No. Yeah, that's good. I mean, straight, what do you have available? Florida's a better gig. LSU is it's a better program in a way. There's a difference.
Just and when I say this, I'm not being cryptic about money. There's just more investment. It matters to people there. They have a great fan base in baseball. They do.
Yeah, sure.
Their fans go. Their fans are educated. Their fans like it.
It's Louisiana's pro baseball team.
It's a party, and they care. And kids grow up in that state wanting to play there. It's just,
and they're floating 1.6 to 1.9 from a number standpoint.
Could probably go higher.
I mean,
how you justify turning down $1.9 million a year to be the head coach at LSU is beyond me. I mean, maybe you can, but it'd be hard.
Kevin O'Sullivan currently making $1.389.
I mean, he's fine either way. Something tells me Florida can't go much higher than that.
I don't know the source on this because it's a private school. So, I mean, we've never really known. But somebody has Corbin documented listing at $2.3 million.
I've heard that he's over too.
Yeah, 2.317 is what pops up when you see comparable salaries.
Well, it's hard to believe he's going anywhere, as disgruntled as he may be.
Let's see where that falls. I'm just curious about something real quick. Again, I don't know sourcing on this. Let's see. I mean, we'll trust it, but I'm just kind of curious. Curious where Corbin would fit in Major League Baseball salaries for managers.
Above a lot. Major League Baseball's getting away from the high-paid manager.
Because they don't think it matters that much?
Because they have all these analytics departments that the game is run by computers. You need somebody that can do, people stuff. But the game itself is run by computers.
Good point. Joe Madden is the highest paid. Maybe around 5, something like that. But I know he's going to be paid more than several because if I remember correctly, Mike was even making more than like 5 or so. Like there's several right around like $1 million are right there. Like they aren't crazy high salaries. Like the best comp, Don Mattingly from the Marlins making 2.4, so the exact same thing. Tim Corbin, is making it true. Bud Black at Colorado 1.5, Craig Counsell 1.5, AJ Hinch 1.2, Dave Roberts only 1.15.
Yeah, they're getting away from it.
I mean,
they view it as
Joe Girardi 3.6.
They view it as and Joe Girardi gets paid a lot of money because of his ability to manage media and stuff like that.
Dave Martinez 2.5.
Yeah, he won a World Series.
He did, yes. So, just some thoughts there.
What's David Ross make? What does it say?
Let's find out. You overpaying?
No,
2.25.
that's about right.
2.25.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, they're in first place for a day. It won't last, but they're in first place for a day.
Braves, 1 game below 500, 25 and 26, I believe, right now.
Got an opening in your outfield.
Yeah, that's true. Amen. Yeah.
That spot's open.
You mentioned it the other day. I did watch like 45 minutes of Moneyball, and I had a hard time turning it off as I was kind of watching it yesterday.
It's sneaky good.
I was just I got annoyed by things that I know aren't realistic a couple times, but if you can just let it be because they try to be this really inside baseball critical movie, but then when you've got like him on the speakerphone calling the 14 different GMs, and one's like, okay, that's not how that works, even a little bit.
But there's no way. The only way they could they could
compress the
condense
month down
all
into
that
a day.
in.
I
Yeah,
understand
of course.
that.
Yeah, and the calls don't happen like that.
No.
Trades don't happen like, oh yeah, let's do it. No.
Yeah. Like Monopoly. Hey, I'll give you so and so, and you give me so and so, and what about this? And there's a few people involved in those, but anyway, coverage at rebelgrove.com. Again, we will have a scouting report on Dylan Dodd here up in a little while, and then a couple different podcasts for you today. And as the week moves forward, plenty of baseball stuff. I expect Mike to announce a starter at some point today, I guess, and then we'll talk about that for a day too, whenever he decides. But with him not admitting it immediately yesterday, I think he's going to end up making the different decision. It's just my guess, but we'll see.
You think it's going to be Diamond?
I do, yeah. I've kind of talked myself into that as we're talking. But we'll see. So that and more at rebelgrove.com. Come check it out. Again, Rippy writes up in the network as well in this feed, and we'll have another podcast for you tomorrow. So have a good day. Stay safe. Talk to you then.